I was born and raised in Red Wing, Minnesota. I grew up in East End between 1954 and 1969. East End was a poor neighborhood tucked between two large bluffs. Red Wing is a historic river town. My parents lived here. My grandparents lived here. Most of my great-grandparents lived here. And I still consider it my town.
Long before Minnesota was a state, there was a place called Chief Red Wing's Village, nestled against the bluffs of the Mississippi River. It was home to about 300 Dakota Sioux living in log lodges. Zebulon Pike met the second Chief Red Wing in 1805 here. After the chief's death in 1829, his stepson, Wakuda, succeeded him and witnessed the transformation of the community from a native village to an Anglo-American town. By the mid-1850s, all of the tribe had been forcibly removed to a reservation in the west, and Red Wing was becoming a city with frame houses, businesses, hotels, and government. This is when Steve's first ancestors began arriving. The east end of Red Wing was part of the half-breed tract, land set aside for people of mixed race, in an early treaty with the native people. Of course, by the 1850s, white settlers had developed properties on that land and demanded ownership. This is where many of Steve's Scandinavian ancestors moved to.
I grew up in an upstairs apartment in this house, living with my mother, grandmother, and great aunt.
This is with you?
Yeah. And we used to play jarts and throw knives at each other in the yard here.
Oh, sure, as one did.
Yeah. My best friend Dell lived just a few houses down 5th Street, and we began playing together with other friends at an early age. From my backyard, I could see across the neighbors' yards to Dell's house. We would just cut through these yards to play. I have many good memories of playing outdoors in the yard, even though I was still riding a trike at 6 years old.
Having been built during the Civil War, the house Steve grew up in is one of the oldest homes in Red Wing. It shows up clearly on this 1870 photo, taken from the overlook on Soren's Bluff. Charles Erickson had purchased the house and moved in with his new wife by 1873. Charles had come over from Sweden to the area in 1857. He enlisted and served in the Civil War. He was shot through the body at the Battle of Nashville, but somehow survived and returned to Red Wing in 1865, where he studied at Hamlin College. He raised a family in this house and became a prominent citizen, owning a business and serving on the city council.
This is a photo of a 1898 family reunion at Charles Erickson's Bluff Street home. My grandmother Lottie called him Uncle Charlie, and she is in this photo, along with her mother Beata. Also my great aunt Elsa, who's only a toddler, is at the bottom of the group. Here is why 5 generations of my family lived at 423 Bluff Street. Uncle Charlie returned to his hometown in Sweden for a visit in 1869. There he learned that his cousin, my great-great-grandmother, Johanna Charlotta Peterson, had been widowed and was on hard times with a young daughter, Beata. He arranged for them to immigrate to America in 1870 to become his housekeeper. So my great-grandmother, Beata, grew up in the Bluff Street house, and in 1884 married Charles Lindo in the parlor. Charles was a carpenter, also from Sweden. They moved to a home 2 blocks away and had 8 children, only 4 of whom lived to adulthood. The family stayed in close contact with the Ericksons. This photo is taken at the Bluff Street house in 1898. Beata died soon after giving birth to Raymond in 1901. My grandma Lottie and her sister had to parent young Ray and Elsa, as Charles is often gone in construction jobs. They received help from Charles' sister and her family. In 1914, Lottie married Alfred K. Simmons, a divorced father of 3 children. This is the only photo I have of them together, as it was an unhappy marriage that ended after a few years. My great-uncle Ray Lindo is the boy in the photo.
Steve's grandmother had married into the Simmons family, prominent in the history of Red Wing since the 1850s. Thor K. Simmons was the first to arrive from Norway. He succeeded financially selling goods in the early boom days in Red Wing and soon expanded into banking, milling, and hospitality. He was part of an investment group that built the famous St. James Hotel, later owning the hotel. Thor's brother Ole K. Simmons also arrived in Red Wing before the Civil War and became a successful carpenter and contractor. He owned a brick factory and a furniture factory, plus a share of the Duluth, Red Wing, and Southern Railroad. The brothers owned properties throughout the area and raised their families in large homes in the best neighborhood, not in East End. Ole Simmons remained in Red Wing for the rest of his life. His son, Alfred K., became a dentist.
My grandmother Lottie lived an upscale lifestyle for a few years in a troubled marriage. Her father died in 1918. She was divorced by 1920. She had a daughter, Betty, but no place to live, so she moved back to the Bluff Street house where her siblings, Ray and Elsa, were living. Uncle Erickson had sold the house, and it had been divided into 2 apartments. They lived in the upstairs with an outside stairway. So my mother grew up in the Bluff Street house. She had friends at East End. She went to school in East End, and she was raised in the house by her mother Lottie and her aunt Elsa. Her uncle Ray Lindo moved out and married Mabel. They bought a house on 7th Street, also in East End, and raised a family there. My great-aunt Elsa never married. She became a career woman and worked as a buyer for Boxwood's clothing store. Elsa was a primary breadwinner for my mother and grandmother, and they lived together for decades. Here they show up in a newspaper photo from when my mother was 8 years old. Ray and Mabel and their twin daughters and son visited Bluff Street often. My mother, in her 20s now, stands behind them. My mother didn't marry until she was 33, but when she did, her and my dad moved to his place in Oakland, California. But that didn't last long, and by the time she was pregnant with me, she was back at the Bluff Street house. So I was the 5th generation to live in that house, and I grew up with my mother, my grandmother, and my great-aunt. I enjoyed growing up in East End during the 50s and 60s. We lived close to the river, the bluffs, and downtown Red Wing, where we walked everywhere. I remember walking over to Plum Street to get my hair cut from Heck Adolph. My favorite was going to the root beer stand and then to a movie at the Chief Theater. If we needed to go someplace that was too far to walk, my Uncle Ray always seemed to have a nice car and would drive us. We also took the train to St. Paul, sometimes Minneapolis. I was allowed to take the train with my friends starting when I was 13. East End was a poor neighborhood, but mostly safe. I walked the 2.5 blocks to school by myself from kindergarten on. I have fond memories of Colville School, my friends there, and being a patrol boy. I spent a lot of time playing outdoors in our yard, and we even dressed up as women and a baby to go downtown for crazy days. We used to enjoy going down by the river in the spring to check out the flooding, and I remember enjoying going to Colville Park to play and to feed the ducks, even the disappearing ones. But the best part of growing up in East End was the two bluffs. This is Memorial Hill or Soren's Bluff, and my family had always gone up to the top for picnics over the years. You could drive up on Soren's Bluff, but I preferred taking the trail called the Cow Path, where they used to bring cows up to graze during the 1800s.
Just cows on the cow pit.
We used to enjoy playing in all the old tunnels and caves on this bluff. But my favorite bluff was Barn Bluff. There was no roads to the top, only trails.
Barn Bluff is one of the most prominent landforms in southeast Minnesota. Also known as Yamney Can, it was formed at the end of the Ice Age by meltwaters bulldozing through the limestone formations. From 1870 to 1910, quarries on the bluff removed tons of limestone for building purposes. Kilns burned the limestone to make a lime cement. In the 1950s, a new bridge and highway reroute removed more sections of the bluff. It is now protected as a park and is popular for hiking and climbing.
This was where Hobo Jungle used to be. You used to be able to get to many off-shooting tunnels in here. Lots of places to have fun. This is an old quarry site on the east end of the bluff. I used to love playing here as a kid, and now it's a popular rock climbing area. As kids, we used to climb up a steep path on the left side of the cliff, but now that's closed as being way too dangerous. We had a fort up there behind that block. We had a ladder to climb up out of there to the top.
In the summer sun, 1981, the day was long till I heard the song whistle like the wind. And I was standing there, dust was flying through the air, like days before when we believed in things we couldn't see. Oh, my red wing, take me softly to my home now, to my family. Oh, my red wing, hold me closely, take me under the brightest sun.
These are the only remaining sections of the original stairway built up the west side of Barn Bluff in 1929. Back when I was maybe 12, my friend and I started a fire here that burned the entire bluff top, which was good for the natural habitat, I believe.
When the day is done and another night has come, I'll rest my weary bones and pray the bird I love hasn't flown away, and I will call again up to my kind with my love I'll be. Oh, my red wing, take me softly to my home now, to my family. Oh, my red wing, hold me closely, take me under the brightest sun.
My mother used to stand on the top of the steps with the binoculars and try to find me up here when I wasn't home on time. Many years after I grew up and left Red Wing, my old friend Axel bought the house on Bluff Street along with others to use as rental property. In 2024, he let me visit the old apartment while he was doing some remodeling. This used to be the kitchen, dining room, wash sink, but I believe this hallway was boarded up and the room was made smaller. Sink used to be here. And we could crowd a lot of people in here for Thanksgiving dinner. And the stairway downstairs was here. Grandma Lottie fell down the stairs.
So it was a single family at one time. I'm just gonna throw some stuff in the garbage.
Okay. And this was the same toilet arrangement that I grew up with, but there was no shower room. This was the front room where I used to sit in the window and eat paint chips. It was also Aunt Ilse's bedroom. This is my bedroom. I remember being a little kid, a big storm, big tree branch came through that window. I also remember laying in bed listening to the trains go by. Every time I hear a train, I always think about growing up in Red Wing.
Take me back when I come around. Says he's sorry, then he puts me out. And I have a chain around my neck, broken down like a train wreck. I know it, but I can't let go.
I still often come to Red Wing with family to visit old friends, to enjoy the scenery, and to revisit memories of growing up in East End.
In my window every night when it's over.